Hey guys! Today I'm going to share my best of beauty for 2017. There's been tons of products I've tried over the course of 2017, and so I wanted to highlight products that were my favorites or things that I have used non-stop or things that I just think should get recognition. I tried to do one for each type of category, meaning like each makeup type, but I do have some like runners up and stuff like that, so I did want to mention more than one in certain circumstances. I didn't include skincare because I really don't use that much different types of skincare besides like masks and scrubs, but I usually stick to the same lotion, the same makeup wipes, and eye creams. I've tried a couple different types, but I always end up going back to the same one. So this is all makeup items, and I have a couple beauty tools. So I'm going to jump right in and show you all the products that I was loving the most out of 2017. So first we're going to start off with eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes. The palette that I was loving the most and that I think was just the highlight of 2017 would be the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill palette. This is such an amazing palette. I have a bunch of other Morphe palettes, but the Jaclyn Hill palette just blows the rest out of the water. The quality, the pigmentation, the mattes are unlike anything I've ever tried before. They're so creamy and buttery. They blend beautifully. The shimmers are insanely pigmented. You do not have to wet them, and they are still extremely pigmented. It's just a beautiful palette. I honestly have tried so much lately that this hasn't received too much love in the past couple months, but when I think of a palette that was just my favorite of the entire year, it would definitely be the Jaclyn Hill palette. I definitely need to start pulling this out more. For someone that constantly reviews makeup products, palettes, new launches and stuff like that, it's really hard to just use one palette because you have so many that you're constantly trying out that come onto the market. So I definitely want to use this more, and in 2017 I'm really going to try not to buy as much and use the stuff that I have, and I'm going to continue to sell on Poshmark to make money and, you know, get rid of stuff that I haven't used in a while. So this is definitely a palette that I think is probably the best eyeshadow palette in the industry for 2017. Once again, this is the Jaclyn Hill x Morphe palette. Now, sticking on the theme of eyeshadows, I did want to mention a ColourPop shadow that, you know, once again sticks out in my mind for shadows that I was loving for 2017. Last year, I talked about the ColourPop Sunset Boulevard shadow, which I still use very frequently, but another one that I've tried in 2017 and I'm already hit the pan on it is the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Amaze. It's a rose gold with glitter in it. It's really beautiful when you're just looking for a quick look, you know, just buff a little transition color and then put this all over the lid. It's just an amazing color and I really love it. Once again, this is the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Amaze. Continuing on, there were tons of palettes released in 2017. Another palette that I was really loving this year was the Morphe blush palette. It's the 9N. This is a great palette for someone that doesn't have a lot of blushes. I feel like there's, you know, everything you need in this one palette. It's a beautiful blush palette. I feel like all of the colors are super pigmented and blend beautifully. These blushes aren't ones that you need to build up. They already are super pigmented with the first, you know, swipe of your brush. So you would use these with a light hand. I feel like if I didn't have all the blushes I own and I was just looking for a one blush palette, it would definitely be something like this, and I love every single color in this palette. They have everything from matte pinks to shimmery like golden, peachy colors in the middle to a super pigmented reddish brown on the corner down there. This is just an amazing blush palette with a super affordable price. Once again, this is the Morphe 9N blush palette. Going back to singles, I have two blushes that I want to share. I'm pretty sure I included this one in my favorites last year. I'm pretty sure I shared this in my favorites last year. It's a Borghese Eclair Color Eclipse Colorized Blush in Stunner. I've had this for a couple years now, and it's something that I literally reach for weekly. It's just a very beautiful, I would say, rosy terracotta color. It does have a bit of shimmer in it in the pan. but it doesn't show up that way on your face. It just gives you a very beautiful sun-kissed glow. Once again, this is their Borghese Eclair Color Eclipse Colorized Blush in Stunner. If you're looking for a more affordable drugstore brand, something that comes very close color-wise and how it looks on your skin, it's the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush in Rose Champagne. These two blushes look so similar. That's why I wanted to put these in here, because I know that the Borghese is like 20 something dollars and not everyone is willing to spend that much. So I wanted to share both of these because they're so similar on your face. They're a little different in the pan. They're both beautiful blushes, both natural looking, so I wanted to share both of them. So I would say these are both my favorite blushes for 2017, ones that I've constantly reached for. On to highlighting and contouring. Contouring isn't something I do all the time. I'm not really good at it. So I usually just use bronzer all around my face and on my cheeks and under my neck and stuff. I don't do the full out contouring. But I picked up this Tarte Pro Glow palette because it has a cream contour and then it has a regular contour, matte shade, and then it has 4 highlighters. So this was on sale at Sephora for like half off. I think it's like $45 or something, so it was half off. I figured it would be a great time to pick it up and try it out. And this is an amazing highlighting contouring palette. These 4 highlighters at the top are just beautiful. These 2 are more on the cool side, these 2 are more on the warm side, and I feel like this palette will work for me all year round. This darker shade down here will look beautiful with a tan or for darker complexions, and I just have reached for this non-stop since I got it. I don't really use the contouring shades at the bottom, as I mentioned, because I don't really contour, but I do want to learn, and I think this is a great palette to have for that reason. So this is definitely my favorite highlighting and contouring palette for 2017. Once again, this is a Tarte Pro Glow palette. When we're talking about single highlighters and bronzers, I also wanted to mention singles. So my favorite bronzer for 2017 would have to be the Tarte Park Ave Princess Amazonian Clay Bronzer. This is an amazing bronzer. I haven't put it down since I've got it. And it's just a medium bronzer. It does have a sheen to it. And it's just so beautiful. It's something I'm reaching for almost every day. And it's just an amazing, amazing bronzer. For a single highlighter, this is kind of a gray area. It's the Ofra Nikki Tutorials Everglow Highlighter. Although it is one highlighter, it has 3 shades in it. It's a little pinwheel, so I really love that. There's a more white champagne color, a more gold, and then a more rust color at the top. So you can not only swirl these together to create a custom highlight, but you can use each one separately. That's what I really love about this highlighter. You can also use them as inner corner highlights. So this is definitely my favorite highlighter of 2017. Once again, this is the Ofra Nikki Tutorials Everglow Highlighter. So on to lip colors. As you know, that's probably the thing I purchase most in general throughout the year are lip colors. So I have hundreds and hundreds. It's very hard for me to pick my favorite. So I do have a couple that I've reached for non-stop throughout the year. They're all the same formula and they're all the same brand. They are the ColourPop Ultra Satin Lips. These are the 3 colors I've used over and over and over again throughout the year. The first is Strip, and it's a warm, I would say brownish tan nude color. I use this constantly and it's a great just brownie nude. All 3 of these are kind of nudes because that's just what I wear. But this is the first one. Once again, this is the ColourPop Ultra Satin Lip in Strip. The next one is more of a pinky nude by ColourPop, and it's the Ultra Satin Lip in Magic Wand. And the third one is I would say a mauve nude, and this is the Ultra Satin Lip in Dopey. Those are the 3 colors, if I can think off the top of my head, that I've worn over and over and over again for 2017. So for a lip liner, I would say one that I've loved for years, and that is just a basic color that I think is just great to have, is the Rimmel Exaggerate Full Color Lip Liner in Addiction. It's just a nudie brown liner, so it goes with a lot of different looks. It is very close to the color of my lips, so I can just use it to, you know, outline my lips or maybe over draw my lips, and it's almost the same color as my lips, so that's what I usually use it for. Once again, this is the Rimmel Exaggerate Full Color Lip Liner in Addiction. For lip balms, I have one that has been my favorite for years. It's the Jack Black Intense Therapy Lip Balm. This is one of my favorite lip balms of all time. I have one that is a runner-up, and that is the Tarte Quench Lip Rescue. These are, once again, like butter on your lips. They're a little bit more money than the Jack Blacks, but both of these are great moisturizing lip balms. So when it comes to eyeliners, I don't really use liquid liners anymore. I don't really ever line my upper lash line or wing it out or anything. So I don't have a favorite liquid liner or liner for something in that sense. What I do every day is I line my waterline. And the two liners that I used probably 90% of the year are the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Overboard, which is going to give me a more bronzy, smoky eye. Or for an everyday liner, it would be the Essence Extreme Lasting Eye Pencil Easy Glide and Waterproof Liner in Silky Nude. So if I want a nude color to put in my waterline, it's always this. And if I want a more smoky look, it's always the ColourPop one. So those are my favorite eyeliners for the year. Continuing on with eye products, we're going to move on to lashes. There are two mascaras that I've used over and over and over again throughout the year, and I've bought and repurchased, and they are the L'Oreal Telescopic Carbon Black, which is my all-time favorite, and close runner-up is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Full Fan Effect Mascara. Definitely these two stick out among the, 20 or so that I've tried throughout the years. These are the two I keep going back to. Moving on to brow products, I have 3 products that I've repurchased and use on a regular basis over and over again. The first is the NYX Professional Makeup Micro Brow Pencil. The color I use is Ash Brown. I've purchased close to probably 5 or 6 of these throughout the year. I just think it's an amazing, amazing eyebrow pencil. I use it all the time, and it's something I reach for and go back to. I've tried so many brow products over the years, but I keep repurchasing this. Once again, this is the NYX Professional Micro Brow Pencil in Ash Brown. I don't use brow powders that often anymore, but when I do, the one I reach for is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo in Caramel. I just repurchased another one of these over one of the Sephora sales. As you can see, I hit pan in this, and I've used this so often, and I always reach for this shade over here on the right. It's just a great brow powder. It works very well with my brows, and I usually use these two together, so I may outline and fill them in, and then fill in my bald spots with the powder. So this is another great product. Once again, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo in Caramel. My favorite brow gel is pretty hard because I use a bunch of different ones. I love the Essence Make Me Brow. I've been recently using the new Tarte brow product, but for 2017, Gimme Brow would be my runner-up, but the #1 still remains the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. This has great hold, and it's just something I've purchased for probably 10 years. So once again, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. Actually I have one last eye product before I move on to face. This is a shadow base that I've used once again for probably 10 years and repurchased over and over again. It's something I feel like no primers for your eyes have really compared to that I've tried so far. I really want to try the new Tarte Shape Tape Eye Primer, but in the meantime, the one that I use every single day is the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. This is just a great eyeshadow primer. It cancels out the redness and veins in your eyelids and gives you an even, clean surface to work with, and it's just a great eyeshadow primer. Once again, that's the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. So for face primers, there are 2 that I have purchased once again over and over again. 2 that I really love. One is high-end and one is drugstore. The drugstore is the Maybelline Master Prime by Face Studio Blur and Smooth. I say this is the one I use the most. I probably use this 4 times a week. It's such a great inexpensive primer. You can get it at the drugstores. I just think it gives an even surface for your skin. It doesn't 100% blur all of my pores, but I think it does a pretty decent job at making my skin look flawless. Once again, this is the Maybelline Master Prime by Face Studio, and it's the Blur and Smooth Primer. The other one that I've loved and I usually use with a very matte foundation is the Too Faced Hangover RX Replenishing Face Primer. This is a bit pricey, that's why I have this mini one, because I usually try to just use it maybe once a week. There are other primers that I've used in 2017 that I actually really like, but I didn't want to talk about them yet because they will probably should be in next year's favorites if they continue to work the way that I have seen them work. But this one is just a great hydrating primer and it works well for me with matte foundations. Once again, this is the Too Faced Hangover RX Replenishing Face Primer. When it comes to concealers, there are 2 that I have loved the whole year. This first one is my favorite. It's the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. I feel like there is nothing that compares to this. It's so pigmented. It covers your dark circles and imperfections amazing. It blends great with foundation. It blends great with brushes, with sponges, and it's just an amazing, amazing concealer. Once again, this is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. The runner-up would have to be the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. These came out at the end of this year, but I use these more than I use the Tarte one because they are way less expensive. So these are definitely something that I think deserves recognition. I have them in 3 colors, light, light neutral, and beige. Like I said, this is something that I use most of the week because it's a more affordable concealer and it's just great. It's not as thick as the Tarte Shape Tape, but it does great at covering dark circles and imperfections and works very well with other makeup. Once again, this is the ColourPop No Filter Concealers. For foundation, both are drugstore brands. I'm very picky with foundations. I've tried a lot this year, and these 2 are the 2 that I wear I feel like the most, and they're the ones that I've reached for the most for the year. The first one is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. This is my favorite foundation. It's been my favorite foundation since it came out. It's a great full coverage foundation. It's mattifying, but it's not super matte, and it doesn't look cakey on your skin. So it's just a great foundation. Once again, it's the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. The runner-up would have to be the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This is a foundation that came out in 2017. It's great for every day. It's super inexpensive. I would say it's like $5. I'm not 100% sure, but this is another one that I tend to wear more during the week just because it's so inexpensive and it holds up throughout the day. It's not super matte or super full coverage. I would call this probably medium coverage, and you can build it up to full. It doesn't wear as well as the L'Oreal Infallible, meaning that I do get a little breakdown in my T-zone, but by the end of the day, it still looks great. Once again, this is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. For powders, I have a favorite setting powder and face powder. So my first favorite is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is amazing, amazing powder. I only use it really under my eyes to set my concealer, and I usually put it in my T-zone, and it just does a great job at brightening under your eyes and keeping your skin looking flawless. I've purchased this a few times now, and I think that I'm gonna it's something I always go back to. I use it every single day, and it's just such a great loose setting powder. For face powder, my favorite face powder that I usually use to set the rest of my foundation is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte 16-Hour Matte Finish Powder. This is just a great powder to add on top of your foundation if you want, you know, just to set it more, or if you're super oily and just want to, you know, add extra mattifying powder to your face. It's just such a great powder. Like I said, I reach for it non-stop. Once again, it's the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Powder. Almost done here, guys. So when it comes to setting sprays, once again, I've tried a bunch of setting sprays for the year. The brand I've always loved is the Urban Decay setting sprays. I've talked about the Urban Decay Chill and the De-Slick, but my favorite for 2017 would have to be the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I really love all 3 of them. The De-Slick, I feel like, and the Chill are better for the summer for me because I tend to get more oily in the summer, and those two work really well in the summer. But this one I feel like works best all year round. There's not a certain time that I think it works better for me, and it's just a great setting spray. Once again, this is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. The last items are beauty tools. The first is something that I'm super late in the game at, and that is the Beauty Blender. Prior to Gem Beauty, I had not tried sponges really at all besides the Real Techniques one. I gave one try and then threw it to the side. I never thought I would really be into makeup sponges, but after picking the Real Techniques one up again and giving it another try, I actually really liked sponges, and I've been using the Beauty Blender non-stop. I got this in November, I want to say, and I just feel like after using the Beauty Blender, you know, I won't go back to using foundation brushes. They're such a pain to clean, and while this is not super easy, it's definitely a lot easier than cleaning out the kabuki brushes and foundation brushes that are super thick with all those bristles. It's just such a pain, and this does give a beautiful airbrush finish, so this would definitely be one of my favorite beauty tools for 2017. The last items are makeup brushes that I just want to share with you guys that I have really loved this year. The first is by EcoTools, and it's the Full Powder Brush. This is my favorite powder brush. It applies powder beautifully. It picks up enough product where it's not like it's just soaking up in the brush and not applying to your face. It's super soft, and it's just a very affordable powder brush. I love how big it is, and it's just an amazing brush. Once again, this is the EcoTools Full Powder Brush. Another brush that I love that I actually use for bronzing my face, is the Moda Pro Pointed Blush Brush. This is a new line of Moda brushes. It just got released, but I had it far in advance because it was featured in one of my BoxyCharms. This is a super soft brush. It applies product really nice, and it cleans very well, and it's held up really well for how much I use it. So once again, this is the Moda Pro Pointed Blush Brush. The last brushes are all eye brushes. One thing that I use non-stop is a blending brush. I have two that I want to talk about. The first is the Sigma Tapered Blending Brush. It's the E35. This is an amazing blending brush. I love Sigma brushes. They are a bit pricey, so I don't own too many. I do have a handful. I got this in my BoxyCharm limited edition box, and this is just an amazing crease brush and blending brush. I have reached for it non-stop since I got it. The other blending brush that I've used non-stop is the same as the other Moda brush I just talked about. It's the Moda Pro collection, and this is the crease brush. These bristles are so soft, and like the other one, they just apply product beautifully. So this is definitely a blending brush I highly recommend for 2017. This next brush, I don't even know if it's available for sale, but I got it as a freebie from ColourPop, and I just think this is an amazing brush for applying eyeshadow to your lid. Some shadows are better applied with your finger, but this really picks up a lot of shadow and applies it to your lid very well. This is just a ColourPop shadow brush. I don't know if they're selling this in their actual line of makeup brushes because it's not from that line. It was something that I got free before they released their brush line, but it's such a great eyeshadow brush, and I just wanted to mention it. The last one is another Royal & Langnickel brush. The Moda Pro are lines from Royal & Langnickel, and this is another Royal & Langnickel line, and this is the Omnia series, and it's the detailer brush. This is a really amazing detailer brush, and I've used it non-stop since I got it. It's such a great brush, and I just highly recommend. As you can see, Royal & Langnickel is really, you know, hitting it out of the ballpark in terms of affordable makeup brushes. So those are all my beauty favorites for 2017. I will list all the products that are still available down below. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, post it down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And until next time, thanks guys. Bye.